Hello and welcome to my channel, Bogdan #7.
Bruh. The 1978 Formula One season, marking the 29th year of the competition, was set to host 16 races. Teams and drivers were gearing up under immense pressure, eager for the new season's challenges. Let's delve into the 1978 Formula One season. The reigning champion, Lauda, switched to Brabham Alfa Romeo, making way for Gilles Villeneuve at Ferrari. Lotus showcased their superior car at the season opening in Argentina. Regazzoni joined Shadow, while Jones signed with Frank Williams' new team, Williams. Andretti, in his new Lotus, secured pole position and clinched victory over Lauda, Depailler, Hunt, Peterson and McLaren's Tambay. The Brazilian Grand Prix debuted at the Jacarepaguá circuit, where Peterson started on pole but was overtaken by Reutemann, who led to the finish line, winning ahead of the ex-champion Emerson Fittipaldi, Lauda, Andretti, Regazzoni and Didier Pironi. In Kyalami, Lauda was on pole, Andretti initially led, followed by Patrese, who then retired. After the pilot faced gearbox issues, Peterson triumphed from 11th place on the grid. He was followed by Depailler, Watson, Jones, Laffite, and Pironi. At Long Beach, Reutemann claimed pole and was briefly overtaken by Villeneuve, but regained the lead to win ahead of Andretti, Depailler, Peterson, Laffite, and Patrese. Monaco saw Reutemann on pole again. Watson led initially, Reutemann and Lauda collided, and Depailler surpassed Watson to win, followed by Lauda, Scheckter, Watson, Pironi and Patrese. In Belgium, Andretti's improved Lotus took pole and led to a Lotus 1-2 finish with Peterson second. They were followed by Reutemann, Villeneuve, Laffite and Pironi. Spain witnessed Andretti on pole, winning yet another Lotus 1-2 with Peterson. Laffite drove impressively to third, followed by Scheckter, Watson and Hunt. The Ferrari suffered tire problems and missed out on points. Sweden introduced an innovation by Brabham, a fan at the rear end of the car. Andretti secured pole position, dueled with Lauda, and ultimately Lauda triumphed. The infamous fan car clinched the Grand Prix victory, following Lauda over Patrese, Peterson, Tambay, Regazzoni and Emerson Fittipaldi. Midway through the championship, Andretti was leading Peterson by just 6 points in the driver's standings, and Lotus Ford was ahead of Brabham Alfa Romeo by 18 points in the constructors' rankings. In France, after the fan car was prohibited, Watson secured a pole position, but the race concluded with another Lotus 1-2, as Andretti prevailed over Peterson, followed by Hunt, Watson, Jones and Scheckter. In Britain, Peterson once again claimed pole position, but both Lotus cars retired, allowing Regazzoni to win ahead of Lauda, Watson, Depailler, Stark and Tambay. In Germany, Andretti was on pole and managed to maintain his lead to win over Scheckter, Laffite, Emerson Fittipaldi, Pironi and Hector Rebaque. The Austrian Grand Prix was next, where Peterson Starting from pole in a race that transitioned from wet to dry conditions, managed to secure victory. Andretti spun out and returned, which narrowed his lead over Peterson to 9 points. Behind Peterson, the finishers were Depaille, Villeneuve, Fittipaldi, Laffite, and Brambilla. In the Netherlands, Andretti took pole once more and won comfortably over Peterson, who was negotiating a new contract with McLaren, followed by Lauda, Watson, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Villeneuve. The Italian Grand Prix saw Andretti on pole again. At the start, which was premature, a collision occurred, and Peterson's car hit the barriers and caught fire. Hunt rescued him, but Peterson sustained severe leg injuries, while Brambilla was knocked unconscious, but later recovered. After the race restarted, Andretti and Villeneuve were penalized for jumping the start, finishing 6th and 7th respectively. Lauda won the race, followed by Watson, Reutemann, Laffite, Tambay, and Andretti. Tragically, Peterson succumbed to kidney failure in the hospital that night. Rest in peace. Consequently, Andretti was crowned champion following Peterson's passing. At Watkins Glen, Andretti started on pole and took an early lead but had to retire, which led to Reutemann's victory, followed by Jones, Scheckter, Jabouille, and Fittipaldi. In Canada, at the new Ile de Notre Dame circuit, Jarier took a surprise pole position and led until he had an oil leak. So Villeneuve won his first Grand Prix, and most importantly on home soil, from Scheckter, Reutemann, Patrese, Depaille, and Derek Daly. So, Andretti won the drivers by 13 points to posthumous Peterson, 16 points to Reutemann, 20 points to Lauda, 30 points to Depaille, and so on. In the constructors, Lotus Ford won from Ferrari, Brabham Alfa Romeo, and so on. So Andretti was champion, and McLaren had to look for a new team leader after Peterson's death. The year was 1979, marking the end of a decade that began with Rins' posthumous World Championship, followed by Stewart and Emerson Fittipaldi sharing titles, and then came Lauda, Hunt, and Andretti. The race calendar, now reduced to 15 due to the Swedish Grand Prix cancellation, was brimming with action. Let's delve into it. Firstly, let's address some rule changes. While the Drivers' Championship point system remained unchanged, rewarding the best 4 results from the first 7 rounds and the best 4 from the remaining rounds, the Constructors' point system underwent a revision. Now, all drivers would count, and all results would count. Following Peterson's death, Lotus brought in Reutemann, Scheckter took Reutemann's place at Ferrari, and Watson joined McLaren. The season kicked off in Argentina, where Ligier's superior car allowed Laffite and Depaille to secure a 1-2 in qualifying. Laffite maintained his lead to win, followed by Reutemann, Watson, Depaille, the reigning champion Andretti, and Emerson Fittipaldi. Ligier replicated their 1-2 qualifying success in Brazil at Interlagos. Utilizing their highly effective ground effect car, they maintained their positions to finish ahead of Reutemann, Pironi, Villeneuve, and Scheckter. In Kyalami, the turbocharged Renault, driven by Jabouille, claimed pole position. Scheckter initially led the dry-wet-dry race but had to pit, allowing his teammate Villeneuve to clinch victory in the newly dominant Ferrari, followed by Scheckter, Jarier, Andretti, Reutemann, and Lauda. At Long Beach, Villeneuve secured pole position and triumphed comfortably over his teammates Scheckter, Jones, Andretti, Depaille, and Jarier. In Spain, Lafitte reclaimed pole in another Ligier front row lockout. De Pile ultimately secured another victory for Ligier, with Reutemann, Andretti, Scheckter, Jarier, and Pironi trailing. Belgium was next, with Lafitte securing pole position once again. Following several crashes, Scheckter claimed victory, followed by Lafitte, Pironi, Reutemann, Patrese, and Watson. In Monaco, pole position went to Scheckter. Both Jones and Villeneuve were contenders for the win but had to retire. Scheckter ultimately won, narrowly beating Regazzoni's Williams by half a second. Reutemann, Watson, De Pile, and Mas trailed behind. In France, it was known that Hunt had retired, passing his wolf seat to Keke Rosberg. Renault, having extensively tested their new design, achieved the front row lockout with Jabouille leading Arnoux. Villeneuve initially led, but Jabouille emerged victorious, followed by Villeneuve, Arnoux, Jones, Jarier, and Regazzoni. At the British Grand Prix, Jones achieved his first pole position. After retirement from both him and Jabouille, Regazzoni secured Williams' first Grand Prix win, with Arnoux, Jarier, Watson, Scheckter, and returning X following. In Germany, Jabouille claimed pole position, but Jones led from the start and ultimately secured a historic Williams 1-2 finish with Regazzoni. Lafitte, championship leader Scheckter, Watson, and Mas completed the top 6. In Austria, Arnoux started on pole but failed to win, leaving Jones to take the victory ahead of Villeneuve, Lafitte, Scheckter, Regazzoni, and Arnoux. The Netherlands saw Arnoux on pole again. A first lap crash led to Jones leading the race. Villeneuve then took over but crashed, allowing Jones to win, followed by championship leader Scheckter, Lafitte, Nelson Piquet, X, and Mas. Italy witnessed Jabouille on pole. Scheckter initially led, then Arnoux passed him, only for Scheckter to regain the lead and secure the World Championship. The race concluded with Villeneuve, Regazzoni, Lauda, Andretti, and Jarier trailing. In Canada, Jones was on pole as Lauda announced his retirement from Formula One. Jones eventually triumphed in a close fight with Villeneuve for the lead, followed by Regazzoni, Scheckter, Pironi, and Watson. At Watkins Glen, for the season finale, Jones took pole once again. The outcome was Villeneuve triumphing over Arnoux, Pironi, Elio De Angelis, Stack, and Watson. Consequently, the South African Jody Scheckter clinched the championship, leading by 4 points over Villeneuve, 11 points ahead of Jones, 15 points clear of Lafitte, and 22 points more than Regazzoni, among others. In the Constructors' Championship, Ferrari emerged victorious over Williams, Ford, Ligier, Ford, and others. It would turn out to be one of the best seasons of Scheckter's career, and oh boy did he deserve the title. The year was 1980, marking the beginning of a new decade and a fresh Formula One season. Williams, Ferrari, and Ligier were in strong positions, while teams like Renault were quickly gaining ground. What developments would this season bring? Let's delve in. The FISA conflict relegated the Spanish Grand Prix to a non-championship event, leaving only 14 races on the schedule. For the drivers, the best 5 results from each half of the season were now considered. The season kicked off in Argentina, where Jones continued his late 1979 form by securing pole position and winning by nearly 25 seconds. The Williams driver was unstoppable. Trailing him were Piquet in his Brabham, Keke Rosberg, Daly, Bruno Giacomelli in the Alfa Romeo, and Alain Prost in the McLaren. Prost had recently joined the British team and was set to become a Formula One legend. In Brazil, Jabouille's Renault led in qualifying, but neither he, Villeneuve, nor the reigning champion Scheckter scored points. Instead, victory went to Jabouille's teammate Arnoux, followed by De Angelis in the Lotus, Jones, Pironi, Prost and Patrese. Back on pole in South Africa was Jabouille. He maintained the lead for most of the race before retiring. Consequently, championship leader Arnoux clinched another win, followed by Laffite, Pironi, Piquet, Reutemann and Mas. At the US Grand Prix West, Piquet claimed pole for Brabham. Regazzoni's crash led to his retirement, but it was a time for celebration in Brazil as Nelson Piquet secured his first Grand Prix win. Patrese, Emerson Fittipaldi, Watson, Scheckter and Pironi finished behind him. Then came Zolder, where Jones was on pole. Pironi's Ligier quickly took the lead, and the Frenchman ultimately claimed his first Grand Prix victory, ahead of Jones, Reutemann, Arnoux, Jarier and Villeneuve. Monaco was next, with Pironi continuing his excellent form by securing pole. He started strong and led from the beginning, while a crash at the start eliminated several top contenders. Eventually, Pironi retired, allowing Reutemann to win ahead of Laffite, Piquet, Mas, Villeneuve and Emerson Fittipaldi. At the French Grand Prix, Laffite, on home pole, initially led, but Jones overtook and won, followed by Pironi, Laffite, Piquet, Arnoux and Reutemann. Midway through the championship, Jones and Williams Ford narrowly led. In Britain, Pironi claimed pole but retired with tire issues, giving Jones the win over Piquet, Reutemann, Daly, Jarier and Prost. In Germany, the pilot tragically died testing an Alfa Romeo. In qualifying, Jones secured pole but didn't win. Laffite did, with Reutemann, Jones, Piquet, Giacomelli and Villeneuve trailing. In Austria, Renault dominated qualifying, Arnoux leading Jabouille. However, Jabouille won from Jones, Reutemann, Laffite, Piquet and De Angelis, with Arnoux ninth. Jones extended his lead by 11 points. At the Dutch Grand Prix, Arnoux was on pole, but Jones passed him, only to pit due to issues, allowing Piquet to win from Arnoux, Laffite, Reutemann, Jarier and Prost. With freelancer left, the Italian Grand Prix moved to Imola due to Monza's reconstruction. Arnoux took pole, Scheckter crashed and planned retirement, and Piquet won over Jones, Reutemann, De Angelis, Keke, Rosberg and Pironi, leading the championship. In Canada, Piquet started on pole, and after several crashes, Jones triumphed over Reutemann, Pironi, Watson, Villeneuve and Rybak. With that, Williams were Constructors' Championship and Jones was almost champion. At Watkins Glen, Alfa Romeo got their first pole in 29 years with Giacomelli, but eventually he retired, as did Piquet. As the flag fell, Jones not only won the race, but the World Championship also. It was a perfect end to a season for Williams, as they had the 1-2 with Reutemann behind Jones. Behind them came Pironi, De Angelis, Laffite and Andretti. Sir Jones was world champion by 13 points to Piquet, 25 points to Reutemann, 32 to Laffite, 34 to Pironi and so on. In the constructors, Williams Ford won from Ligier Ford, Brabham Ford and so on. This season would be only the start of an incredible decade of Formula One. After Williams, Ligier, Renault and Brabham were the dominant forces in 1980, 1981 brought some changes. Let's look into them and into the season itself. So, 15 races were to be held. The South African Grand Prix was moved to non-championship status in the middle of the FISA FOCA war. The United States Grand Prix was cancelled. The Argentinian and Brazilian Grand Prix were moved after the US Grand Prix West. The season would also end in America with a new Caesar Palace Grand Prix. And after Monza got reconstructed, it was back hosting the Italian Grand Prix, whilst Imola would host the new San Marino Grand Prix. In the drivers, there was a point system change with the best 11 results from the whole championship counting. So, as we headed to Long Beach, it was also miles. But for how long? The so-called skirts were banned, so nobody knew who'd be the best team or driver. Here, Patrese gets a surprise pole for Arrows. Patrese led from Reutemann the start, but eventually both were overtaken by Jones, who eventually won from teammate Reutemann, Piquet, Andretti, Shivers, Tyrrell, and Tambay. We were back at the Jacarepaguá in Brazil, where home hero Piquet took pole, but once again the two Williams cars were dominant, with Reutemann ignoring team orders to give the place to second place Jones, and eventually won. Behind Jones, obviously, Patrese, Marc Enzyme, De Angelis, and Laffite. Piquet was back on pole in Argentina, and then won in a pretty dominant new Brabham from Reutemann. Renault's new recruits, Prost, Jones, Arnoux, and De Angelis. It was looking like another Williams vs Brabham title battle so far. Villeneuve took pole with Imola, but a third misjudgment made sure he finished 7th. Piquet would eventually win, again from Patrese, Reutemann, Rebac, Ferrari's new recruit Pironi, and De Cesaris. Then came Belgium, where a mechanic was killed on Friday after being hit in the pits accidentally by Reutemann. Protests went on regarding pit safety after that, but at the start of the race, Patrese stalled on the grid and signaled an Arrows mechanic, Lackett, to help him. Nobody knew about this, so the race started. The other Arrows, Stores, hit Lackett at the start. Though he had multiple broken bones, he survived and lived until 2021. Nevertheless, Reutemann was on pole. Piquet and Jones collided, but were both able to continue. After Jones crashed and burned his left leg, Reutemann was able to win. From Laffite, Lotus new driver Nigel Mansell, Villeneuve, De Angelis, and Shiver. After that came Monaco, where Piquet was back on pole for the most of the race until he crashed. Then Jones, after problems, letting Villeneuve win from Jones, Laffite, Pironi, Shiver, and Surer. In Spain, Laffite took pole but finished 0.22 seconds behind leader Villeneuve, which was 0.58 seconds ahead of third-placed Watson, 1.01 seconds ahead of fourth-placed Reutemann, and 1.24 seconds ahead of De Angelis. Also in the points came Mansell. In France, Arnoux took home pole position, but was only able to finish 4th. The podium trio was Prost, Watson, Piquet, with the first one taking a surprise home win, and behind Arnoux came Pironi and De Angelis. More than halfway through the championship, Reutemann was leading Piquet by 11 points and was looking at a possible first world championship. Arnoux was back on pole at Silverstone, but Once again, he didn't win. Instead, it was the first win for a carbon fiber composite monocoque Formula One car, with Watson's McLaren winning. He was followed by Reutemann, Laffite, Shiver, Reback, and ATS's Borgwood. Prost and Arnoux got the first lockout for Renault in disorder in Germany. But both Williams cars overtook them on the start, only for Reutemann to have engine problems and Jones' car engine to misfire, letting Piquet win from Prost, Laffite, Reback, Shiver, and Watson. With that, Brabham and Nelson Piquet were closing in on Williams and Reutemann respectively. In Austria, Renault secured another front row lockout, this time Arnoux ahead of Prost, but no one could beat Laffite, as he won from Arnoux, Piquet, Jones, Reutemann and Watson. In the drivers, Reutemann now only had the 6-point lead over Piquet and the fight was won. At Zandvoort, Prost took another pole from teammate Arnoux in another Renault front row lockout. Though Arnoux retired, Prost was able to bring Renault a victory from Piquet, Jones, Reback, De Angelis and Salazar's Ensign. After Reutemann retired after colliding with Laffite, he now shared the driver's lead with Piquet on 45 points each, with Laffite only 11 points behind. Monza was back as the grid lined up with Arnoux on pole for Reutemann, with Laffite 4th and Piquet 6th. Watson had a scary crash during the race but was unhurt, as were all the F1 drivers that had accidents that day, because there were many. Eventually, Prost would win from Jones, Reutemann, De Angelis, Pironi and Piquet. The top 5 in the Drivers' Championship were separated by just 5 points advantage to the final 2 races. Piquet took pole in Canada, but it was Laffite winning from Watson, Villeneuve, Giacomelli, Piquet and De Angelis. Williams had secured the constructors, but Reutemann had 49 points, Piquet 48 points and Laffite 43 points in the title battle coming into the final race. In the final race at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Reutemann took pole, whilst Piquet was 4th and Laffite 12th. Reutemann dropped places at the start and was passed by Piquet, which held on to finish 5th and be world champion, whilst fighting with exhaustion. Jones would win the race from Prost, Giacomelli, Mansell, Piquet and Laffite. With that, Piquet won the drivers by just 1 point to Reutemann, 4 points to Jones, 6 points to Laffite, 7 points to Prost and so on. The constructors, Williams Ford won from Brabham Ford, Renault and so on. A dramatic season came to an end with Nelson Piquet becoming a one-time world champion. The Formula One world was evolving, with new quality teams and drivers appearing as we geared up for a quality and tragic season. 16 races were to be held in 1982, with the South African Grand Prix returning to championship status. There were 2 new races, the Swiss Grand Prix, which, because of the ban of motorsport in Switzerland, was held in France at the Dijon-Prenois, and the Detroit Grand Prix, but the Spanish and Argentinian Grand Prix were cancelled. It all started in South Africa, where a strike from the drivers saw practice delayed, and we saw returning champion Lauda, who was now at the former rival team McLaren. Arnoux took the pole. He easily took the lead at the start. Piquet crashed. Villeneuve's Ferrari retired with engine problems. Then Prost's wheel came off, and the Williams, Ferrari, and Renault turbocharged cars led, with Prost pulling off a comeback to win from Reutemann, Arnoux, Lauda, Keke Rosberg, and Watson. In Brazil, Prost was on pole, but Villeneuve led at the start. The two Williams, Rosberg and Piquet battled with Villeneuve, then Villeneuve crashed. Piquet and Rosberg got a 1-2, but the FIA were so both of them disqualified, letting Prost win from Watson, Mansell, Tyrrell's Alboreto, ATS's Winkelhock, and Pironi. Then came the US Grand Prix West, where Alfa Romeo's De Cesaris took pole and led before crashing. This eventually meant that Lauda won from Rosberg, Patrese, Alboreto, De Angelis, and Watson. The FOCA teams boycotted the San Marino Grand Prix, where Renault took a front row lockout with Arnoux ahead of Prost. Both Renaults retired, letting the Ferraris of Villeneuve and Pironi battle for the lead. The Ferrari team instructed Pironi to hold second place, but Didier misunderstood the writing on the board and passed Villeneuve for the lead, winning from Villeneuve, of course, Alboreto, Jarier, Salazar, and there was no sixth place because of disqualifications. At Zolder, Villeneuve was trying hard to beat rival and teammate Pironi in qualifying when he hit the back of Jochen Massey's car. The car somersaulted, he was thrown out and eventually died later in hospital. Formula One had just lost one of its biggest talents. Rest in peace. The story of Villeneuve's family in Formula One, though, was not over. Ferrari withdrew from the race. Nevertheless, Prost led teammate Arnoux out on the front row in qualifying. Watson put in a great drive to win from the back ahead of Rosberg, Lauda, which was disqualified, so third place went to Shiver. De Angelis, Piquet, and Serra followed. In Monaco, Arnoux took pole, but as always, the Renaults were not going to get points. Only 3 cars finished the race, so some cars that hadn't finished the race got points. Patrese won from Pironi, De Cesaris, Mansell, De Angelis, and Daly. The first ever Detroit Grand Prix saw Prost take pole after 2.5 minutes of practice because of the circuit being still in construction. After a long Grand Prix with a red flag at the moment in time, Watson won from 17th on the grid. Behind came Shiver, Pironi, Rosberg, Daly, and Laffite. The renamed Circus Gilles Villeneuve saw a change in place in the calendar and Pironi took pole. At the start, Riccardo Paletti stalled, was hit and died. Rest in peace. Eventually, Piquet won as both Renaults retired again. Behind Piquet came Surtees, Watson, De Angelis, Serrer, and De Cesaris. Halfway through the championship, McLaren, Ford, and Watson were looking like title favorites. Up next was Zandvoort, where Arnoux took pole but crashed heavily during the race. So Pironi won from Piquet, Rosberg, Lauda, Daly, and Baldi. Rosberg was on pole at Brands Hatch, but he stalled on the warm-up lap, giving Patrese the effective pole until he also stalled at the start of the race. Piquet thought he could win, but Lauda eventually won from Pironi, Tambay, who was Villeneuve's replacement, De Angelis, Daly, and Prost. In France, Arnoux took pole, but was overtaken by the Brabhams. Then Patrese retired, then Baldi and Mass crashed heavily, almost killing spectators. Then Piquet retired, letting Renault have a 1-2 with Arnoux ahead of Prost, which were ahead of Pironi, Tambay, Rosberg, and Alboreto. Then came the German Grand Prix, where Pironi crashed and ended his Formula 1 career, so he could not start on pole. The Renault and Brabham battled until Piquet crashed with Salazar and they began an altercation. Eventually, Tambay won from Arnoux, Rosberg, Alboreto, Giacomelli, and Serrer. In Austria, Piquet took pole, but once again, both Brabhams retired or, in Patrese's case, crashed. De Angelis took a surprise win from Rosberg, Laffite, Tambay, Lauda, and Baldi. Had he won Prenois, Prost took pole from Arnoux in another Renault front row lockout, but as always, they couldn't win. New championship leader Rosberg won his first race of the season from Prost, Lauda, Piquet, Patrician, and De Angelis. At Monza, Andretti, Pironi's replacement, took a surprise pole position, but Arnoux eventually passed the Ferrari 7 from Tambay, Andretti, Watson, Alboreto, and Shiver. With Rosberg 3 points ahead of Pironi, who was injured and not racing, and 9 points ahead of Watson, he was close to being a world champion. In the constructors, Ferrari led McLaren by 11 points and Renault by 15 points, coming into the final race of the season. In Las Vegas, Renault took a front row lockout with Prost ahead of Arnoux. Arnoux retired and Prost dropped back, so Alboreto won from Watson, Shiver, Prost, Rosberg, then Daly. With that, Rosberg won the World Championship by only winning just one race. Ferrari held on to win the constructors in a year that saw 12 different drivers win a Grand Prix in just 16 races. It had been a season with a lot of fatalities and severe accidents, meaning that from 1983 the safety was improved. A new Formula One season was on the horizon. Following a year with 12 different winners, anticipation was high for another spectacular season, and it promised not to disappoint. The calendar featured 15 races starting in Brazil. Despite the ban on ground effect cars, reigning champion Rosberg secured the pole position. Piquet assumed the lead on the 7th lap and maintained it throughout. Rosberg, after a dramatic pit stop, was disqualified for a push start in the pits, leaving no one in second place. Lauda finished third, Williams' new driver Laffite fourth, Tambay fifth, and Scherer sixth. At Long Beach, Tambay and Arnoux formed an all-French front row for Ferrari, while Piquet started 20th, Watson 22nd, and Lauda 23rd. Watson and Lauda fought through the field to secure a remarkable McLaren 1 finish, with Watson leading. Arnoux settled for third, followed by Laffite, Scherer, and Cecotto. This race also marked a one-off return for former champion Alan Jones. The season's third race, the French Grand Prix, was rescheduled 2 months earlier than usual. Renault dominated the front row at their home race, with Prost leading Shiver. Prost triumphed, followed by Piquet, Shiver, Tambay, Rosberg, and Laffite. In Imola, Arnoux claimed pole but was overtaken by his teammate Tambay, who won, and Prost in second. They were followed by Arnoux, Rosberg, Watson, and Scherer. At the Monaco Grand Prix, a well-prepared Prost took pole. Williams opted to start on slick tires despite wet conditions, a race that paid off, with Rosberg winning ahead of Piquet, Prost, Tambay, Sullivan in the Tyrrell, and Baldi. The battle for the championships between Ferrari, Renault, and McLaren was leaning in Renault's way. Returning to Spa-Francorchamps for the first time since 1970, the Belgian Grand Prix witnessed Prost securing pole position. However, the Cesari surged ahead early on. His lead persisted until a butchered pit stop led to his retirement, paving the way for Prost to clinch victory ahead of Tambay, Shiver, Piquet, Rosberg, and Laffite. In Detroit, Arnoux started on pole but retired on the 31st lap, allowing Alboreto to snatch an unexpected victory. He was followed by Rosberg, Watson, Piquet, Laffite, and Mansell. The Canadian Grand Prix featured the one-off appearance by Jacques Villeneuve Sr., Gilles' brother, driving for RAM March. Arnoux, on pole yet again, secured the win this time, with Shiver, Tambay, Rosberg, Prost, and Watson trailing. Past the midpoint of the championship, little separated the top drivers and teams. Prost was leading the driver standings by 3 points over Piquet and Tambay, 5 points over Rosberg, and 13 points over Arnoux. In the constructors' race, Ferrari and Renault were tied at 44 points, with Williams 9 points behind, Brabham trailing by 17 and McLaren by 18. At the British Grand Prix in Silverstone, Arnoux claimed pole position once again, while Williams was on the verge of securing a Honda engine. Prost fought his way through the field win, followed by Piquet, Tambay, Mansell, Arnoux, and Lauda. In Germany, Tambay and Arnoux achieved another Ferrari front row lockout ahead of De Cesaris. Arnoux, determined to prevail, finished a staggering 1 minute and 10 seconds ahead of second placed De Cesaris. Patrese, Prost, and Lauda, who was disqualified, followed, which meant Watson and Laffite scored points. In Austria, despite another qualifying 1-2 for Ferrari's Tambay and Arnoux, Prost proved unbeatable. He triumphed over Arnoux, Piquet, Shiver, Mansell, and Lauda. With 4 races remaining, Prost was 14 points ahead of Piquet in the Drivers' Championship, while in the constructor standings, Renault led Ferrari by just 3 points. At Zandvoort, Piquet ended Ferrari's 5-race pole position streak. Yet, after several collisions, Ferrari achieved the 1-2 finish, with Arnoux leading Tambay, followed by Watson, Tolmans, Derrick, Warwick, Baldi, and Alboreto. In Italy, McLaren introduced the new TAG Porsche engine. Patrese secured pole position, with the Ferraris in second and third. The race resulted in an effortless win for Piquet, followed by Arnoux, Shiver, Tambay, De Angelis, and Warwick. The European Grand Prix at the Brands Hatch saw De Angelis claim a surprise pole. Patrese initially led, but after a collision with De Angelis, Piquet took the victory, with Prost, Mansell, De Cesaris, Warwick, and Giacomelli trailing. Before the final round, Prost was leading Piquet by 2 points and Arnoux by 8, while Ferrari had an 11-point advantage over Renault in second place. The South African Grand Prix, now the season's last race, began with Tambay on pole, Piquet in second, Arnoux in fourth, and Prost in fifth. Patrese claimed the win, followed by De Cesaris, Piquet, Warwick, Rosberg, and Shiver. With retirement from Arnoux and Prost, Piquet became the first champion to win with a turbo engine by a mere 2 points, and Ferrari secured their Constructors' Championship by 10 points over Renault. Piquet had secured his second title in 3 years, signaling an era of change on the horizon. We'll look at what changed the next time. In the meantime, thank you for watching, like, subscribe, and goodbye.